Alright, if you're an INTP, you've probably experienced this. Like you're hanging out with people and you've never met them before. Maybe it's like a group of people and you're friends with like maybe like one person, and there's like a social thing going on. Maybe you guys are going out to eat and people are talking about things and people are, I don't know, like, laughing, and you're just like sitting there thinking of things to say and like nothing comes out. And then you're like, oh, why am I like this? And then you start thinking like, what's socially acceptable? Like, what can I do? And your brain starts like churning like 100 miles an hour, and then eventually you lock up and you freeze and you can't say anything. That's, I think that's like how what happens to a lot of INTPs, and I just wanted to talk about why it happens and maybe what you can do about it. I think it happens because, INTPs, first, they have a dominant introverted thinking, so that is always churning all the time, and it's really hard to turn it off. And their FE, was their extroverted feeling, they kind of are aware of like social norms slightly, because I think a lot of INTPs aren't if they have a very low, but they don't want to like stand out because they know they might do something weird. And so they FE, they kind of look around and see what everyone else is doing before they act. And they, if there's not enough information, your brain starts thinking things, and there's not enough information to take in, so you can't really do make choices, and you can't really interact with people really great just based on introverted thinking, because I don't know, because with people you should be more feeling, it's like how you feel, and it's more of a social thing. And like you can talk about like subjects, and you can talk about different things you think are interesting, which is really cool, and that's how most INTPs bond anyway. And they don't, it's hard for them to bond with people who don't talk about stuff. It's more like friendly banter and small talk. It's torture, and I feel like it's very draining for an INTP. And that's the kind of stuff. The only way to do that, to really get past that barrier, is to get drunk or wasted. Just kidding. But having a couple drinks will it can help. It'll take the edge off your thinking. But you have to let go and just like accept, kind of like be in the now. I know that sounds weird, but you have to be in the present moment, and you cannot don't have to stop thinking and just go with the flow. I know it sounds harder than it is, and it is harder than it sounds, but it's easy too. It's easier than it sounds. Like you have to try to get used to it. You have to try to, if you can think of a way to turn your brain off, then do it. I mean, there's ways like to change it chemically. You can like use different things. Like some people like caffeine makes them like more like whoo whoo, and they're just kind of like they spit out more things, and they're just more like they talk more. That's what it does to me. Like I'm able to be more. But if I don't know, sometimes like downers don't. I don't know. It's weird. Like it depends on like, I guess a downer would be like alcohol. But yeah, different drugs affect people differently, and that's one way. But I wouldn't recommend that. And like actually running too, like the endorphins makes you more outgoing. But yeah, basically just letting go and trying to not be in the moment. Because if you think about it, introverted thinking to deal with people is manipulative, because you're trying to like change the situation in a way, and it's not just being there with the person and enjoying their company. And granted, it might be harder to enjoy the company of someone who just wants to like friendly small talk, this all like nice social stuff where it's kind of like, oh, this is custom. We're not really good with customs, but yeah, that's why silliness, or just and letting go and just being really silly and goofy, or just talking about things that are really interesting that you like in depth. It's those are like the only two options. But yeah, that's INTPs and social anxiety.